We got with Ruthless 1993. I met Tupac in 1991. But Bizzy Bone want Tupac on the record. So if I could get Tupac to come over here and get on the record, I could be on the record. So she made that call. Tupac agreed to do the record. He was like, oh, he gonna put Sylk on there. Fair enough. I'm flying up there. I'm gonna come do the record. I'll never forget. He walked in there, he was just glistening. It was like a diamond walked in the session. Tupac had on all white. He had on a Versace suit. This is the story of Pac in the Versace suit. After we do Thug Love, we lose Tupac months later. Boom. Ruthless, this is an opportunity. They got a record with Biggie. Biggie died. We need this record with Tupac. Tupac is gone.
Now, how did your relationship, can you explain your relationship with Tupac? How did that?
Tupac.
Because
So,
Diamond did tell two stories. He told you
right,
when y'all was in the hotel and y'all was rapping with him and he
right,
kicked y'all out with
right,
some girls came.
right. So, we met Tupac way before Ruthless Records.
Okay.
We got with Ruthless 1993. I met Tupac in 1991. So we would always go to the clubs in Hollywood. We didn't do the hood stuff. That's why, I have a lot of love and respect from the members. And I would always go back and I would bless some of the members when I was having money. I would give back. So 1991, they had the bombest clubs, the Jamaican House and all these clubs. So I would always be like, come on, Diamond, let's hit the club. Let's go out. I was a freestyler. I done snatched the mic from Biz Markie. I mean, you name it. Soon as I get in the club, no matter who was rapping, I ease up to that DJ booth. I get that mic. Next thing you know, they hear my voice. So we were at a club with Tupac, and I'm like, damn, everybody like Tupac. But I'm a holler at his friend, Mouse Man. So I start talking to Mouse Man. It was Mouse Man and The Wicked and Pac. And they had 50 niggas, 50 states. This was really before Thug Life. This was his first 50 niggas, 50 states. He wanted somebody out of each state to represent 50 niggas, 50 states. So I was slick about it. I was like, well, Tupac is a rapper. I'm a rapper. I'm going to end up doing music with Pac. But I'm going to holler at his boy. So Mouse Man and Wicked were rappers. They was a group, but Pac was solo. Brenda's got a baby, da-da-da. So we met. We was at the club. So Mouse Man hollered at me and I hollered back. And I'm like, yeah, they didn't know we did music or none of that stuff. Because at that time, I didn't get the mic. That wasn't a club night where I snatched the mic. We just in there vibing. So once I met Mouse Man, we exchanged numbers. I let him know, hey, I know how to rap. So we had a phone relationship. Me and Mouse Man would talk on the phone. So one day he invited me over to the Mondrian Hotel. And I'm like, well, you know what? Y'all from out of town. I know how to cook. Like, I'm going to bring y'all some homemade fried chicken. I was like, I sell weed. I got the best weed in Cali. Y'all don't have to worry about being robbed. Nobody setting you up. So he let me come. I took Diamond with me. So we get to the room. Tupac come out with this bottle of Hennessy and Alizé. I done brought the fried chicken. He like, damn. I'm like, this straight from 110th and Western. After that chicken got hot, I put it in a container and drove it straight to Beverly Hills. Well, they were in Hollywood at that time. I drove straight to Hollywood. So chicken bussin', Tupac walk in. I'm like, there go Pac. But I never was, I liked Mouse Man because Mouse Man was kind of cute. He was from a different state. I think he was from Baltimore too, like Maryland, like different. So me and him vibed out. And I tried to hook Diamond up with Mo Preem, Pac's brother. So they'd always tell us, y'all pull up, y'all pull up. I'd bring good weed, chicken, whatever. We'd go in the room, I'm making homemade macaroni. I done bought the ingredients. So we hit it off. Tupac walks in the room. He had a bottle of Hennessy, a bottle of Alizé. Thug Passion.
Mhm.
That was the drink. Thug Passion. So he walk in and he swinging the bottles. He sit the bottles down. I get up. I'm like, I'm drinking. I'm drinking. Can I get some drink? He like, yeah, y'all drink up. We introduce ourselves and stuff. Mouse Man like, yeah, they rap Pac. He like, what? They look like they can rap. They look like some thug bitches. Like, so we get to talking and we chilling, smoking weed, listening to beats, and Pac is rapping, and we all nervous and stuff. I'm like, Tommy, we got a bus. We got a bus. So after a few couple thug passions, mixing the drink, bottle about that much. We done start rapping, letting out our stuff. Pac picks the bottles up. Now that's what I call some wino hoes from hell. Y'all done sat up here and drunk all the drink up. And we laughed, and it wasn't no sexual content going on back then. I had a crush on Mouse Man, and I was trying to hook Diamond up with Mo Preem, and I'm like, Pac is a superstar. Everybody like Pac, but if we down with the clique, we got we got something going. And so I would never let anybody write my rap. But I wanted to be so in with the Tupac gang, I let his boy Mouse Man write me a verse. And I don't remember the whole verse, but it was like my first rap that I really remembered because I always freestyled. And this was before the record deals, before Easy. So Mouse Man wrote me a record. Try your luck, buck, buck, buck is the sound of my gat rolling fat, Sylk-E on the mat. Where you bitches at? So it was just like, I never forget that bar. So we built our relationship, and it was always a homegirl situation. One of our good friends, Lachelle, she was Tupac right hand man and the homegirl Keisha. So we were invited to all the video shoots, and we would just hang out. If Pac was doing something, we did have unity because Easy was gone. Eazy-E wanted Tupac though. That almost happened, but after losing Eazy-E, everybody was hurt. Everybody was traumatized. So bygones was bygones. Dr. Dre, Ice Cube, they let go of all their ill feels. They were at the hospital. Everybody was just pulling up, showing love. So then once meeting Tupac, that was like shit. We in there now. Then after knowing Pac, we met the Eazy-E saga, Ruthless Records. So yeah, I've had some times.
So now explain how did Thug Love came? You're not on they took your verse out, but you was
Yeah,
on the original
I was
record.
on the original version. So I get a call from my go-to girl, Shari Henry. Shari Henry had a relationship with Tupac. Bizzy Bone got at me. Sylk, I know you know Tupac. You think you could get a record with me and Pac, and I'll put you on the record for the connection. So this is like right after Eazy-E died. We didn't know what was happening with Ruthless Records. Bizzy was like, we doing an album, but we all got a solo record. So his solo record was Thug Love. So I'm like, damn, let me see. I know how I could get to Pac real quick if I run it through Shari. So I called Shari Henry. I'm like, look, sis, I need to get on this record. But Bizzy Bone want Tupac on the record. So if I could get Tupac to come over here and get on the record, I could be on the record. So she made that call. Tupac agreed to do the record. He was like, "Oh, he gonna put Sylk on there. Fair enough. I'm flying. I'm flying up there. I'm gonna come do the record." So at the session, it was Bizzy Bone. Forgot his boy who was running with him at the time. Tupac came up there by himself. Might have had a bodyguard, and it was me.
How about DJ Unique?
DJ Unique was there, the producer of the track. And I'll never forget, Tupac walked in there, and I want to say that was the last time, or did we do the last motherfucker breathing? We did Last Mother Breathing before Thug Love.
Oh wow.
Yeah, definitely Last Motherfuckers Breathing was right after Easy died. 1995. That's when we recorded because we were still rocking like GBM and it was all four of us, you know. So, oh boy, this history is so deep, but we cannot get erased from the facts. So then, after getting a connection with Tupac to come up to the studio. I'll never forget. He walked in there, he was just glistening. It was like a diamond walked in the session. Tupac had on all white, he had on a Versace suit. This is the story of Pac in the Versace suits. He had on all white. He was rushing out to go to France to do the runway for modeling Versace. He came in there dressed in all white. Bizzy had the Hennessy. Pac loved Hennessy. Bizzy had the Hennessy. I'm like, I'm not going to drink till after I do my part. Like, I was really excited to be able to be a part of this connection, to be able to reach out and have a relation with Tupac. He knew who was on the record. He knew who was at the studio. So he basically was like, you putting Sylk on here, I'ma drop a verse. That's good looking out. Easy gone, he know. He knew that I was a rapper. Pac knew me before Easy. So that was the deal. So like he came in there, dressed in white, hit the Hennessy. It took Tupac 10 minutes. I'd probably be punished for hard living. So just to even be in a session, just working with Pac, it rubbed off on me. It gave me that fire to just be ready. Sometimes don't write, just go in there and freestyle, come back out, rewrite it. You know what I mean? So that was the last time I want to say I saw Pac on Thug Love. I never got to embrace him after the record.
And now, what was the reasoning that they took you off the record?
Back to the Thug Love, OG. So Easy was dead. Boom. After we do Thug Love, we lose Tupac months later. Boom. Ruthless, this is an opportunity. They got a record with Biggie. Biggie died. We need this record with Tupac. Tupac is gone. The respectable thing would have did leave me on.
Yeah.
And you could have added 4 bars. The Bones didn't have to rap and go on and on and on and on and on. Love you, Bones. But that shit hurted my feelings. You know what I'm saying? I was offended. And that's why being a female in this West Coast industry, I always felt like I was their equal. I didn't need them to write for me. I didn't need to sleep with them. I didn't need them to give me anything other than the microphone and the headphones. So I was more betrayed. I was hurt. I was like, every time I do good and I'm giving, because this is my passion, I get robbed. I get raped. I get stripped. You know, they wanted to force me into a nervous breakdown, but it never would happen. They wanted to force me to become a drug addict, but it never would happen. My strength. I dealt with some pain, you know, after losing Pac, after losing Easy, after the Romeo and Juliet deal, after working with Renee Moore, my third album, The Come Up. I had no success. I had all the fans in the world, but I didn't have success. And it was hard to deal with. So at this time, I'm in my early 31, 32 years old. I go back to the block. I go from my picture being on the billboards, bus stops, looking up, there goes Sylk-E Fyne. I went from being on billboards and pictures on bus stops to standing on the bus stop, being around the way girl, no car, no money, no royalties, going through a battle that was meant to break me, but it made me stronger. It gave me who I really am. I went back to work. I worked at Berkowitz and Cohen law firm years, NBC, Universal Television years. I started out up there in the mailroom, worked my way to production. Like I wouldn't give up. But music was my passion. So then I said, I'm letting the devil win. I feel like they robbed me and I'm accepting it. So once I went back to the block, didn't have a car, and I'm not ashamed to tell my story because I've always been rich in my spirit. Because when our flesh leave this earth, you can't take nothing material with you. So I'd rather have a rich spirit than an old, broken down heart from doing so much malice. And when you let the tables turn, the karma come back. It does. Things you don't even want to happen to people who did God's people wrong. So it was like I'm heartbroken. Now I'm furious. I could rap, but I felt like Snoop Dogg. I felt like Mike Conception. I felt like Renee Moore. I felt like Ruthless Records that it ended up to be after Easy. I felt like they took from me. Everybody just leached on me. And it wasn't until I blew up and wrote Romeo and Juliet, then Snoop Dogg came looking for me. I had several features with Snoop Dogg. So I know, yeah, hey, Snoop gonna jump on whoever's hot at the time. Wiz Khalif when he came out. But I always felt like there was more loyalty and more appreciation to what I offered to those records, to what I brought to the table, my energy, my vibe. I was the one, what you say now? Then I'm like, well, damn, Snoop Dogg picking up on the ad libs. Now we're starting to sound similar. But out of all the records I featured on, I was the female that held my weight. It's like they didn't out rap me. So it came to a point where I felt like they didn't want me to shine. Like, you know how the East Coast, they praised Little Kim, Cardi B, even the Queen Pen back when she was out with me. You know, the men in the other states, they really supported the women. They put them on a pedestal and they didn't let them down. It was like more unity with what the guys was doing with the females. So then when I saw, I said, now I'm intimidating the dudes. I'm like, I'm not a stud. I'm not gay. Shout out to the LGBTQ, they're my homies. But I've always been aggressive in my passion. I always felt like y'all keep taking from me. All I'm doing is giving. I'm not asking for a lot. It was the heartbreak, the trials, the tribulations. People thought I was going to fold before social media. They put out the worst rumors that you could ever think of. Sylk is on drugs. Sylk setting people up. Sylk, it was just all lies. So once social media, finally, we got MySpace, I started telling my story. I wasn't biting my tongue. I was in my early 30s. I was a little bitter, but I grew and I turned it into love. And I took the anger of being jacked, ripped off, used, put on original records, taking off records. You know, I felt like I contributed a whole lot to the sound of the West Coast. So through my 30s, I was a little bitter. I was back on the block. I was hanging, damn near back banging. You know, but God always had, don't forget your talent. Don't forget who you are. So I never stopped rapping. I didn't have the success after those record deals, but I still had the recognition. I still was getting awards from people in LA that just appreciated me. I was still getting booked on shows. I was still performing, but I had to keep a regular job because the industry just didn't want females to eat on the West Coast.